What is up, Watch fam? Happy Wednesday, and welcome to this week's episode of AskTNH Live. I am Christian from Theo and Harris, and today we're going to be jumping into a whole bunch of topics. First, the Rolex Explorer 2 and why it's so undervalued. Let's do it. All right, before we jump into today's episode, wristwatch check. I'm wearing a beautiful vintage Cartier, beautiful watch. This one is not for sale in the watch shop at theoandharris.com, but there are so many incredible watches in that shop that are for sale. So I definitely recommend you go on over there and check it out. There are so many different types of things. Rolexes, Omegas, those are mostly the two brands, but Tudor and in so many different variations of those brands. So it almost seems like, oh, okay, the offering isn't that large, but every week it's so different. So if you're watching the watch shop every week, I love when people, say, that was the one. Like, I've been waiting for 3 weeks and I just found the one. That's a cool moment, because I felt that feeling when I bought my Datejust. I've been watching, and I was considering things, and I almost bought, and then once I saw that blue Datejust, boom, like a f***ing Mack truck, I said, that's my watch. There is no question, that Datejust is mine. And I bought it, and I love it since. We actually made an awesome video on it. You guys should check it out. The link is in the description. Will Rolex bring the Explorer 36mm back? I don't know. Will Rolex bring a 36mm Explorer back? I say no. The Rolex Explorer right now is at 39. So I can't see Rolex bringing a 36mm, version of the 39mm existing watch. It doesn't really make any sense. If there was a 40, maybe we have a shot. But even, every Rolex watch, Well, the Datejust, I guess the Datejust does have precedence of kind of being in varying sizes. I just don't think the Explorer does. They have the Explorer 1 and the Explorer 2, but they were never different size variations within those respective, model lines. So that would be a first for the brand. That would be like offering two different size GMTs. I think no. I don't think so. Speaking about Explorers, I think that the Rolex Explorer 1, particularly in a polar white dial, but still in the black as well, is one of the most undervalued Rolex sports watches on the market. There's no question. They are 40mm. They are complicated. They are distinct. What do I mean when I say distinct? Because of the steel bezel and the GMT hand, but particularly the steel bezel, there is no mistaking that watch, for that watch. You're not going to say that's a sub or a GMT, because of that steel bezel, that's an Explorer. And the same can't be said for all other Rolexes. A black GMT could be a sub, to many people. And to me, that is an enormous asset for that particular watch in that model line, having a very distinctive, design. So to me, under $5,500, and they all are under $5,500, well under $5,500. It's a steal. It's a steal. Those watches will eventually be trading between 6 and 8. There is no question in my mind. There is nothing that makes competing Rolex models that much more expensive. Apart from this idea that maybe Rolex didn't pump enough money into marketing the watch, so less people grow up saying that's the watch and then buy it in their 40s. That's probably it. But within the watch community, we're slacking. Those prices are way too low. All right, one more question. Let's do it. Thoughts on the Precision line by Rolex as entry levels? Good question. I think they're wonderful watches. I think the 34mm Rolexes are also super undervalued. If you can wear them, they're the way to go. I went with a 36mm Datejust, and I love the Datejust. I love the 36. But at the time, if I knew I could save $500 or $400 and say, I'm going to go with an Oyster Precision, that would have been a viable, option. I can't say I would have done it. I don't know, but that would have absolutely been something I considered, but just didn't because I didn't even realize. And that's why I love to talk about, watches so much on YouTube, because so many people are new, right? And they don't know these things. And even people that have been in the community for a while, they don't know what we look at sometimes as obvious, Rolex facts. It's not obvious. Of course it's not. No one trusts half the mediums out there to buy watches. So they're not going to say, oh, okay, eBay said that 34, is less expensive than 36, but it's fucking eBay. And half the dial colors are, lime green and sky blue, and none of that exists. So you can't trust the medium almost as a whole. Of course, once again, there are some good watches on eBay. There's no question. But as a new time, as a novice, as someone that isn't used to really hunting for watches and being super discerning with an enormous amount of information already logged in their head, fucking minefield. Stay away from it. in my opinion. Thoughts on the new JLC Master Control Date? Phenomenal watch. I love JLC. I had a conversation last week on ASKTNH. Talked about the Vacheron Constantin 56 collection or 65 collection, whatever. My contention was that watch is a red flag. That watch is kind of it could mean, if you look at it pessimistically, that Vacheron could be on the chopping block for the Holy Trinity. It was an uninventive watch. It was no substance, and it wasn't just one watch. It was a whole model line of 3. So that's dangerous. And a lot of the comments came in that JLC should really be the, Holy Trinity. It should be in the Holy Trinity. It should be Patek, JLC, and then fill the other one with what you like. But ultimately, I think it's very funny that in the Holy Trinity, it's 3 brands, Patek, AP, and VC. People respect Patek, and that's not really a position in the Holy Trinity that is, up for grabs. But everyone criticizes VC and AP. Most people that I talk to don't think they belong there. So it's not just like, that one oddball that's been slacking off. 2/3 of the Holy Trinity, many people, many real watch people hold, the contention that they just don't belong there, that it should be replaced by A. Lange & Söhne, just for starters. So I think it's very interesting. And scary as shit, because ultimately so much of each of those watches, each AP, each VC, the value is predicated upon this history of being the best. And without that, you're just another f***ing guy. Why isn't FP Journe as successful as Vacheron? Because FP Journe has no mainstream history of being the best. There are better watches, sure. The FP Journe at Chronometre Blue at $22,000 or $20,000 is better than a Nautilus. I have no doubt. But who's gonna, who in the net game, the whole world is gonna choose that over the Nautilus? Nobody. Nobody. It's some no-name blue watch. The movement's cool, whatever. And do I disagree with that? Of course. But I'm also very self-aware in knowing that even though my world revolves around watches, the world doesn't revolve around watches. And that to me is one of the biggest problems the watch industry faces. We think that, we as in the watch community think that, everyone cares as much as we do. Not true. Everyone that goes and spends $25,000 on a watch does not care equally. The fact that they spent it does not mean they care equally. Some guys just buy shit. Happens all the time. They're like, oh, that's cool. Here's my money. Or hey, I'm buying this for the status. They don't care about the movement. You can tell them a pile of dog shit. And some of these brands do. So anyway, I think that it's very, very important for every industry to be more self-aware. And they're not. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Ask TNH Live. I will see you all tomorrow on Lug to Lug.